Hi, Betsy. It's Miss Strother, and welcome to your screencast of your final exam project essay. If you can hear the cat crying in the background, you'll just have to ignore her. The first thing I'm going to do as I go through your essay is actually I copied it and pasted it into a Word document so you can see it just a little bit better and do some different things with it that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise on Google Docs. So here we are. And I can see I typically go through, just kind of go through the essay and pick out any major glaring issues. And so far I see you have a beautiful heading that's very nice. You have a nice title. I can see a thesis statement with the four stories. I see that you want to also make sure that you are indenting all paragraphs like that. It looks like your parenthetical in-text citations are good, are well done. I can see you are not finished yet. Understandable. Okay, and this looks like this is your conclusion. Fabulous. No works cited list, but you've got time for that. Okay, so I'm going to start reading. I'm going to read your introduction, one body paragraph, and your conclusion to give you some verbal feedback. And then you can look at your rubric for any places where you could get additional points beyond what I tell you here in your screencast. Okay, here we go. Challenges and obstacles, breaking through. Readers have often asked themselves why characters in a story are going through one problem after another. There is a reason why. In literature worldwide, there are challenges or obstacles that characters go through, creating conflict and at the same time a story. I think I would change this comma. So it would be there in literature worldwide, there are challenges or obstacles that characters go through, creating conflict and at the same time a story. They keep readers interested and give them a reason to keep reading until late midnight. How about late in the night? Or until late in the evening, whatever it is. Find another way until late midnight. It's a little bit specific when you don't need to be. Otherwise, you have here In the Circuit by Francisco Jimenez, Taco Head by Viola Canales, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents by Julia Alvarez, and In the Sad Story of Oedipus Rex, the theme of challenges and obstacles creates a conflict. Okay, and Oedipus Rex is by Sophocles. But really what you want to do is pull these out so that you have your thesis statement, but that you are introducing each story. And that will really help if you're concerned about extending your essay past 5 pages. It looks like you have 4 right now, and you're just at the top of 4. So part of this is your introduction. You're introducing the different stories. And that's one of those things, if you look at the yellow sheet of paper, it says to introduce the 3 books, or in your case, 4 stories. And you definitely want to go ahead and do a complete sentence. So, In the Circuit by Francisco Jimenez, for example, you could say something like, a boy describes his experiences as a child of a migrant family and the responsibilities that entails. And then you would do Taco Head, and then you would do How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, etc. And really your thesis statement then becomes much more simple. In the Circuit, Taco Head, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, and Oedipus Rex, the theme of challenges and obstacles creates conflict. Or if you feel that you have sufficiently stated the 4 stories that you're using, you are welcome to say these 4 stories explicitly show how the theme of challenges and obstacles creates conflict. That is totally up to you. Okay, next one. The theme of challenges creates conflict in the circuit. Panchito is the main character in the short story who works hard with his father and older brother to keep food on the table. His father needs his wife to translate English for him. Okay, translate English for him, or translate English into Spanish for him. Either way, take your pick, because he does not speak English. At sunset, we drove into a labor camp near Fresno. Since Papa did not speak English, Mama asked the camp foreman if he needed any more workers. Panchito's father cannot communicate himself in English and needs his wife to translate for him and cannot find work without her. So that's great. You want to also, so this is good because you're explaining what is actually going on in the quotation, but it's still more narrative. So what you want to focus on is analyzing it. Not that one, this one. Really, really analyzing it. How does this quotation you picked show challenges, show the theme of challenges? How does it show how challenges create conflict? So make sure you include that right after your quotation or right after your brief explanation of it. Either way is fine, as long as you've got it. Okay, you also probably want to go ahead and give me a second. So a little bit more of a transition into the next one, although this is nice and simple. Panchito also struggles to express himself in English. Maybe you want to say something about where he is or what's going on. It's just difficult for me to see immediately where your quotation here ends. I was startled. I had not heard English for months. For a few seconds, I remained speechless. I looked at the lady who waited for an answer. My first instinct was to answer in Spanish, but I held back. I think this is where you want your page number. You want to say he also struggles to express himself in English as evident when and I believe this is when he goes to school and is trying to enroll. So make sure you're clear there. Okay, now for your analysis. Panchito has a challenge expressing himself to other people in English because he has not heard English in a while. Now, he's already said that. So maybe what you want to say is he has a challenge expressing himself in English because after working in a labor camp for so long and not going to school, he isn't maybe, in practice? He hasn't had any good English practice, something specific like that. Panchito also goes, okay, so here is where you want to have more analysis again. How does this challenge create conflict for him? It's really, you've got a lot of internal conflict right there where he feels the two cultures, the two languages pulling him in different directions. He's extremely uncomfortable in this new environment. He doesn't get to go to school very often, so he really doesn't know what he's doing, and he's trying to make sure that he doesn't embarrass himself or his family or say anything wrong. And here we are. He's dealing with this conflict because of this challenge that he knows not everyone has to deal with. Okay, Panchito also goes through a nervous breakdown when his teacher asks him to read to the class. I would change this to a colon. I was so nervous and scared at that moment when everyone's eyes were on me that I wished I were with Papa and Roberto picking cotton. Aww. Panchito's lack of sufficient English words and his nervousness held him back from speaking. In the circuit, Panchito and his father have a challenge speaking English and need to work hard to support their family. Beautiful. I would say that would be how you would want to end. That would be a perfect last sentence for this paragraph. Although you didn't say much about him needing to work hard. So maybe what you want to talk about is up at the top where you're talking about his father having difficulty communicating in English. Maybe one of the analytical pieces you want to put in there is that this challenge speaking English really gets in the way of him being able to work hard to support his family, which seems to be a driving force for his father. It really does. And then here again, you want to include, so right after this, I was so nervous and scared at that moment, you want to add some more analysis in there. Okay, so because of timing, I'm going to move on to your conclusion. And I know you're working on the other stuff, so I'll read through it, but you want to go ahead and work on that. The theme of challenges and obstacles creates conflict in the circuit by Francisco Jimenez. Taco Head by Viola Canales. How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents by Julia Alvarez. And in the sad story of Oedipus Rex by Sophocles. Now, I don't feel that you absolutely need to have the authors here. You've combined your thesis statement and introducing the stories quite a bit here, so you may do just the circuit, Taco Head, How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, and Oedipus Rex. It's already a mouthful. It doesn't need to also have the authors' names in there to make it flow maybe a little bit better. Okay? In the circuit, Panchito has a challenge expressing himself to other people in English because he has not heard English in a while after working in a labor camp for so long instead of going to school. Clear. In Taco Head, after Sophia's horrible incident, she isolates herself from the other students because she feels like an outsider. Yeah. In How Garcia Girls Lost Their Accents, Carla, the oldest of the Garcia sisters, gets bullied on by a couple of some boys, I would say a couple of boys, in school because of her accent and her nationality. Let's take this comma out. Okay. So you are still working on your conclusion, that's fine, but so far you are writing clearly, you are writing beautifully, you have a nice logical flow to things. You want to go ahead and add in some analysis. For every quotation that you put in there, you want to add in more analysis, very, very clear, explicit, showing your reader how the quotation really proves your topic sentence and thereby also your argument. See me if you have any questions about that, but I am quite certain you will get there and we'll finish up your essay beautifully. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will hope you have enjoyed this experience.